Well, welcome to the fifth edition of the New England Holstein Podcast. When we think about the New England Holstein Association, we look at its stated goals of being a membership organization and with a mission statement that talks about dedication to encouraging the breeding and raising of registered Holsteins. And this podcast intends to provide resources towards those end and increasing member connectedness, giving an opportunity to hear some member stories. Like I said, this is the fifth episode. This episode is sponsored entirely by the New England Holstein Association and its members, and future episodes will certainly have additional advertising opportunities. Our host today is me, Betsy Bullard, Breeding Farms in Turner, Maine, and I'm also the Area 1 Director for Holstein USA. As with our previous four episodes, we will have members with us today who are going to talk about both their operation, their Holstein experience, and have great fun asking them questions and learning more about their operation. So today we have Natalie and Matt Sneller of Conant Acres over in Canton, Maine. And given that one of the homework assignments we've given each of our guests to provide iconic cows, both in their operation and in New England, I feel like Conant Acres is in a great place to do that. If anyone of our members has looked at some of our Holstein USA high BAA lists, you will virtually always see Conant Acres at or near the top of those lists. And certainly great to hear the things that are going on there and some things that maybe look the same as they have over the years and also some things that look different. Looking forward to hearing from you, and thanks for taking a minute or two out of this unseasonable heat wave that we're enjoying today.
Thank you, Betsy, very much, first and foremost, for the opportunity to participate in the podcast. Matt and I are excited about this chance to share more about Conant Acres, what's going on with our dairy operation, and some of the on-farm marketing opportunities that we've worked to capture and develop over the last few years. My family owns and operates Conant Acres. I grew up as an active participant in New England junior Holstein activities and now on the adult side and raising a couple juniors that are heavily involved in the different activities that are made available. So we certainly appreciate everything that New England Holstein offers its members. And I think this podcast series is really innovative way to communicate with our membership and share ideas amongst our members and producers.
I guess it's my turn. Been part of Conant Acres for a chunk of years here, and my past history is I was a Michigan native, and through some different steps in some different states, made it out to Maine and have acclimated to the Northeast and immersed into the different way that people move around the world, move within the area, and the collective camaraderie of the Northeast.
Well, Matt, thanks for saying such complimentary things about us New Englanders. I think we could officially say it's all right. You're from away, like that's an actual thing, but I think we've become more accepting of that over time. So great to have you with us both here in Maine and on the podcast today. And Natalie, you referred to your junior Holstein experience. And when I look at my pretty amazingly long list of distinguished junior member finalists, I see your name on there. So that's great. We had Greg last time, who was a finalist, Greg Norris, and we have you today. So I think it's fun in this process and pretty meaningful both to our members and our junior members coming up to tie all that together. What happens to folks that receive some of those awards? You guys don't want to listen to me talk. You want to tell me more about what you all are doing over in Canton, and I think our listeners are pretty interested in that as well.
I might give a little bit of a brief history of the farm and then give Matt the opportunity to chat about current cows that we're working with and our genetics and breeding programs. Conant Acres was established in 1936 here in Canton, Maine, that we farm on today. The original farm was started by my great grandfather and then passed down. He had 9 children. At one point, 3 of his sons were involved in managing Conant Acres. Over time and retirement, my grandfather, Dwayne Conant, was the heir of that operation, really, and kind of carried it forward. And we now have three generations of our family that are actively involved in the farming operations. So my grandfather, Dwayne, is still out on the farm every day. He enjoys getting on the tractor and pulling the feed wagon around. Every morning, he feeds every animal on the farm and has the opportunity to keep an eye on things and stay connected to our operations. My parents, Steve and Debbie Keene, are also actively involved in the farm. My dad, Steve, in the barn primarily really focused on the cow closely with Matt as we look at breeding and developing the future generations of the herd. My mom, Debbie, is primarily responsible for our on farm retail market, which I'll probably talk a bit more about later. She's also actively involved in keeping track of our records and papers and all those sorts of things and calf raising. And then we have the subsequent generation, Matt and I, and my sister-in-law and brother, Brian and Sarah Keene, are also involved. So truly a family operation. The motto that we've used for the farm for a number of years has been where families come first. And first and foremost, that is our own family and working together and collaborating and most of the time enjoying that opportunity. Then, of course, it's the cow families that we've really had the honor and privilege to work with and develop over time. Wheat family is probably the investment in the cow family that put my grandfather's herd on the map back in the 1980s and gave us the opportunity to market our genetics globally, to get exposure to producers really around the world. And we really value the relationships that we were able to build and develop through that cow family. And then over time, we've had others that we've had the opportunity to work with and develop.
The herd for years and years and years has been a very traditional style breeding of type and production. Type being more focused on over the years because it was always the feeling that you want to work with the cows and breed for the cows you're happy seeing every day. So that's a lot of the basis of where our high BAA and our focus that way comes from, working with bulls that are of certain names, of certain PTATs on statistics. As now more than ever, it's important to make sure that cows are profitable beyond the extra stuff, like really getting down into the efficiencies of how much value per stall can you really create? How much downtime do you have in a given cow's lactation? Things like that have really started to come to the forefront in the herd as we build on what's already existing within the herd on the high type side. From a day-to-day standpoint, we are finding a lot of value and in a simple statement of our barn is not getting bigger, our cows are. How do we fix it? So we are actively addressing it in sire selection means, cows' health and longevity when we are looking at decisions of which animals stay in the herd and which animals leave for various reasons. The farm has bought into many cow families over the years, including ID Lustry family, Vermont Pondview Nut Lass. Integrity Robin was a cow that had a lot of impact within the herd. In recent years, the cows that are most known for our herd would be the topside Sybil cow and the outside Leslie into the REW Happy Go Lucky family. Those two families are the ones we are spending the most time with right now. The topside Sybil cow goes back to a 93 Allen that was purchased many years ago, was flushed to both Goldwyn and Durham with a very simple type correction made. The Allen was a strong cow. They needed some dairy, so Durham and Goldwyn were both great fits. Each daughter of those matings were 93, 94 point cows with 95 to 96 point udders. Through multiple generations from there has produced the topside Sybil cow that was the first homebred 95 cow. And her daughter by Brady was our second homebred 95 point cow. We continue to work with that family in branches of daughters that are sired by Denver, Delta Lambda, Hannons, and continue to move on that way. Second cow family I mentioned, the REW Happy Go Lucky family. Dwayne was a co-purchaser of the outside mother before Happy Go Lucky was even born. Many offspring from that family a very rough ballpark, 25 to 30% of the herd traces back directly to the outside Leslie cow. That family for us has very much been known for high type, long necks, dairy fancy cows. Done a lot of showing in our local areas with.
Thank you both for kind of framing the fantastic history and bringing it into the present with the herd as well. And I think certainly when we think about our ideas of the New England Association and some of those goals around conversations of supporting breeders and breeding and those things, this is a great way to get into that a bit more than we have in some previous episodes. So I appreciate that. Natalie, did you want to tell us a bit more about the on-farm market?
5 years ago, in 2019, our family started on a journey that's kind of snowballed and grown beyond what any of us had anticipated at that point in time. But we made the decision in early 2019 to start marketing raw milk and to put up just a small retail location on farm with the goal of capturing more of the consumer dollar directly, really leveraging some of the relationships that we already had with local consumers that had been developed over 30 or 40 years of a small vegetable stand here on the farm that my grandfather and grandmother had operated. We had a big shade tree out front of the dairy that we would set up a little corn stand at. And my grandfather and my grandmother would sit out there from the last week of July through the last week of August every year and greet neighbors and community members and sell sweet corn. And developed the relationships and developed a reputation for a high quality product. And we sought to expand that and kind of leverage some of those relationships and that reputation. In July of 2019, we had a little 8x10 market constructed. We had the permit in hand from the state of Maine to be able to bottle and sell raw milk. And we endeavored to do that with 2 small refrigerators and a small chest freezer with Holstein beef. We were selling ground beef, stew meat, and tenderloins because those were the cuts that we felt really confident in marketing out of the Holstein cow. We decided that in addition to sweet corn, we would take advantage of our large family garden and we'd market maybe a few cucumbers and a few tomatoes. And that quickly snowballed into quite a variety of vegetables. And in the spring of 2020, COVID hit. And everyone's world changed, and our small on farm market suddenly became a local hub and source of dairy and meat when consumers were unable to find protein sources at the local grocery store, were concerned about where their food was coming from, how it was being produced, where it was being produced. So at that point in March of 2020, we had our first beef steer that was harvested. We brought home 1,200 pounds of beef and it was sold in less than a week as everyone was scrambling to find meat at that point in time. So we kind of looked at each other and said, wow, that is interesting to say the least. How are we going to react to this? And we are very fortunate that we had a connection with a local butcher and a great relationship there. So we were kind of in our early stages of developing a small beef herd. We were able to source some additional beef to supplement that herd. We started buying some pork as well. And very quickly, that small market grew to the point that we were not only supplying our little on-farm market, but 3 other local retailers with milk. And our 1 chest freezer grew to 2, and that grew into walk-in freezers. And we're at the point today, 5 years later, that we are continuing to bottle and sell raw milk here on the farm. We have between 8 and 10 other markets that we supply. Some of those are just seasonal markets, which we find here throughout New England. And we do grow our own vegetables and do a fair bit on that side. Our beef herd is probably, Matt, what do we have? Probably 25 anyhow. in our beef herd today, and we're processing 1 to 2 steers a month for that. The other area that we've seen a real opportunity to create more value on the dairy side has been with cheese. When Matt and I returned home to the Conant Acres operation in 2011, we had the opportunity to utilize some grant dollars through the state of Maine Department of Agriculture for business viability planning. And at that point in time, 13 years ago, we'd been looking at cheese production and processing here on farm. We decided at that point in time that we didn't necessarily have the cheese maker within our family that was going to be really passionate about pushing that forward. And so we'd opted for other ventures and kind of other endeavors. And as the on-farm retail market grew, we revisited that discussion. We found that we still didn't have a member of our immediate family that was really interested in being the champion of cheese making here at Conant Acres, but we were able to find a tremendous resource in the nearby state of Vermont with Vermont Farmstead Cheese and create a partnership there where our milk now is being turned into a variety of specialty cheddars. We actually have 10 specialty cheddars that we're working with them. It's been a great partnership for us. They're experts in the area of cheese production, and it's given us the opportunity to bring a local high quality product to the customer base that we are really working hard to develop. And so today, kind of our flagship cheese that's on the market shelf is a maple cheddar that we source maple cream locally, actually from another farm that is a maple producer and also a dairy producer, really committed to producing the highest quality maple they can. We're committed to producing the highest quality milk we can, and together it's created a very local Maine product that consumers have really rallied around and have really supported. We also have some fruit cheddars. We have a blueberry and a Maine cranberry cheddar. We've partnered with some local breweries and produced a series of ale-washed cheeses. And then we've also worked with some wine. We currently are branching into a more savory line of cheddars and actually have a caramelized onion cheddar that's the newest addition to the market. Been quite a journey. We've learned a lot in the last 5 years and continue to learn something new every day. But we've really enjoyed the opportunity to connect directly with our consumer. We've really enjoyed the opportunity to create this network of like-minded food producers and become entrenched within that group, whether it's folks that are growing fruit locally, that are producing maple products, that are working on the meat side of things. It's been eye-opening, and we've really enjoyed that chance to kind of build those relationships and become part of the Maine food community, which is really vibrant. And when we look at sustainability and all the things that we want to do moving forward and being good stewards of the land and providing high quality dairy products to our customers, this is really giving us an outlet to do that.
Think about it. Our association was founded in 1921, the New England Holstein Association, and was just a teenager, clearly, when Conant Acres came into being in 1936. So it's fascinating to see those changes over time. And as you said, Conant Acres is not a new business, but certainly you folks aren't shy about trying something new and innovative over time. And I have to put in a plug for your cheese. It's delicious as well. So not only are you doing some innovative things there, you're putting delicious foods out into the marketplace. And I think eaters around the state of Maine are pretty fortunate to have, as you said, a vibrant local food sort of scene. So I don't want to let either one of you off the hook on your homework assignment on these iconic cows.
I guess the easy choice for within the herd iconic cow was a topside Sybil cow, because that was an unspoken goal that we'd always had around the farm, was to have a homebred 95. The farm previously had purchased great young cows and developed them into 95 point cows in many different fashions. But this was the first one that the cards fell in the right place from years of homework and trying and pushing, that she was the first 95 homebred cow that fit every statute of what we were going for a normal sized barn ready everyday cow that held her own in the milk tank and was special to us in the show ring as well.
Probably the iconic cow that I'd like to highlight is one that kind of connects our families, Betsy, and that's the Integrity Robin cow. That's a cow that your family actually had bred, and a family that your family had done a lot with. Our family purchased her as a young cow at a Maine state sale and had the privilege of working with her and developing her into a 95 point cow, a prolific flush cow in the era before IVF. And we had the chance to export, I believe it was over 300 embryos from her. She has over 30 excellent daughters. And her impact here within our herd and within a lot of other herds has truly been tremendous. I'll never forget that she happened to be a cover girl in her own right. She was on the cover of a Select Sires calendar. Don't ask me the year. It was probably mid 2000s, I'm guessing. In addition to our work at Conant Acres, I do actually have an off-farm job in the industry and work for Worldwide Sires, which is the international marketing and sales arm for Select Sires. And in my role there, I do have the opportunity to travel internationally. And I really got a kind of a kick out of the first couple trips I was on in Western Europe, going into farm offices and seeing a Select Sires calendar posted right up on the wall, and Integrity Robin was the cow that was up there. And that was a pretty cool way to link our farming operation and what I was doing professionally at that point in time. But certainly a cow that made a lot of friends around the world, made some great offspring here in our herd and others, and certainly continues to have an impact today.
Clearly, I'm not biased at all. I appreciate that story, and I think both of those stories really highlight both your farm's kind of tagline of where families come first, and that tremendous connectedness we've talked about in some earlier episodes between our members' families, and over time those various connected strands around the world, as you've seen, Natalie. And when we think of, New England's not a big place. We don't have a huge number of farms, but we've certainly produced some pretty iconic cows and sent them out into the world. And when I think of all the people that have gone forth from New England out into the world, and our membership, and Natalie, we think of your dad was a National Holstein director and certainly served the association well. And we've been very fortunate over time to have directors from Maine and association presidents from New England. And like I said, it's a small place, but it's a small world, and it's great to see that all tied together.
Certainly in previous episodes of the podcast, we've promoted our Junior Holstein activities and programs, and really recognized the benefit of those programs and opportunities, and how we're developing the future leaders of our association and within our industry. And I would just take a moment here while I have the microphone to continue to promote and plug those opportunities and those programs. I had the opportunity to participate not only in the show ring, but also with Dairy Bowl and public speaking, and some of the other contests that were available. As a dairy farming family, trips to National Holstein Convention were really our family vacations, and gave us the opportunity to get out onto other farms and meet a lot of people, make friends and network with folks that I continue to see and work alongside in the industry today. And so some of the lessons that I learned through Junior Holstein membership and the activities there, some of the friends that I made and relationships that were developed over that time continue to serve us well, I think, in the present. And as I said, we've got a couple young folks in our family that are actively involved and are starting to see, or maybe hopefully appreciate the benefits of their participation. We're products of Junior Holstein activities, myself here in New England, and I just can't speak highly enough of the programs, the mentors for our young people here in New England and outside of New England, and just the support of the New England membership for our youth has been tremendous over time, and that continues today. And we're very appreciative of that, and we know our children are too.
I think it's always important from a youth perspective, from a little bit of my experience and seeing getting into New England, the value of repeated touches on similar topics, different, but from different people. It's amazing to me how many things in life you can learn and build on experiences, whether it's judging, cattle handling, business perspectives. Even though they're the same, you could see the same topic 6 or 7 times, having it from a different person, each time you get a different little snippet, and that those pieces always carry value within life, and being able to build year over year on experiences, not just, oh, I did something once and I'm done with it. Those are important items for me from a youth perspective.
Thank you both. And I think that's definitely an ongoing theme when, when we think about the New England Association at its first annual meeting way back in 1921, the association signaled its commitment to youth by voting a cash appropriation for a calf club work at Eastern States Expo. And here we are, a few years past there, and continue to enjoy an incredibly strong set of junior programs. And we're all very hopeful, and certainly myself and you folks, I think we're feeling like we're doing a little packing as the trip to Utah. And I think we're all pretty excited about having the opportunity for our young people to interact with kids and adults as well from all over the country, and continue to build those relationships you described, Natalie and Matt, both, that are not ones that they will soon forget, and they'll keep those throughout their lives. Excellent. I appreciate you both coming on the podcast today, and wish everybody luck in this summer's endeavors. Maybe it will cool off just a little bit from the way it is today, and remind everyone to check us out at nesholsteins.com, both for more information on the New England Holstein Association. When we think about upcoming events, we have the New England Holstein Summer Show coming up in July. So be sure to check that out, and check out the website for previous and current podcast episodes. Don't be afraid to send topics that anybody's interested in hearing on an upcoming episode. Thanks again. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you very much. We appreciate the opportunity.